Okay, this is task 2.2 from Osb Mock 2. It's either page 71 or page 115 in your workbook. I think most probably it is dealing with the flexible budgets and variances again. So we have done this task quite a few times. So I'm going to go through or skip through some unnecessary things which we have already done. So in the worksheet called Variance Analysis, insert catering for occasions in cell A1 in bold. Catering for occasions in cell A1 in bold. Then font size 11. We know how to do the font size. Year ended 31st December 2004 in cell A2. Year ended 31st December 2004. Year ended 31st December 2004 in cell A2. Budget in C2 and actual in D2. Budget in C2 and actual in D2. Variance in E2 in the same format. Variance in E2. When they say in the same format, that means they want all of this to be in bold and they want these three headings to be centered. Ensure all data can be viewed. So do your format. Okay, all data can be viewed. Spell check the information on the variance analysis spreadsheet. So spell check, review, spelling. Occasions is spelled correctly. Sorry, that is my mistake. Electricity is spelled correctly. Change. Rent is spelled, sorry, rent is incorrect. Change. And spell check is completed. In cell C3, enter pound sign centered and copy across to E4. I think that should be E3, not E4, sorry. It's not E4, it should be E3. That's a mistake. Center it and copy to up to E3. Use copy and paste link to insert the figures from the worksheet budget and actual data column C and D into the correct positions in column C and D of the variance analysis. So we have budget and actual data. Copy the data for column C and D. Control C into here, column C and D. Paste link. Let me check that. Yep, paste link. Okay, data. If any data is not visible, adjust it or auto fit. You will be able to see all of them correctly. Format all text to be in Times New Roman. We know how to do that. So I'm not going to show it. Insert a row underneath the row 2 and insert another row underneath row 4. So underneath row 2 we want a new row. So click on 3 and say insert. We don't want to insert copy cells. Just want to insert a new row. Insert. Because we just copied before, it is keep asking me to insert copied cells. So I will do one thing. I'll right click and clear contents and try again. Yep. Insert under 2 and then insert under 4. Okay, so we got 2 new rows inserted. Enter percentage of budget in F4. F4 over here. Percentage of budget. Merge the center cells E2 and F2. These two, E2 and F2. Merge them. Format the column F to percentage with 2 decimal places. There is no data there. Okay. Percentage and 2 decimal places. Let me see if we need to complete something before I come here. There's no calculations anywhere. Okay. Calculate the variance for each items of revenue and each cost in cells E5 to E15. Use conditional formatting to show favorable variances in black and adverses in red, and calculate the variance percentage of the budget. So now we are calculating the variance. So for sales variance, always do actual minus budget. Whereas for the other variances, you do budget minus actual. Do it for all the cells. Conditional format to show favorable variances in black and adverse variances in red. New rule: cells that contain less than 0 to red font. And everything else it is already in black, but just making sure. Greater than 0 to black. Okay, formatting is done. Calculate the variance percentage of the budget. So variance percentage of the budget, you remember the formula, variance divided by budget. So variance divided by budget. You don't need to do times 100 because it's already converted into percentages here. Do for everything else. Format the budget and actual figures to 1000 separator and no decimal places. Budget and actual figures. Thousand separator and no decimal places. Calculate the operating profit for budget results, actual results, and variance. Operating profit. Revenue. We have 2 revenues here. So that will be C6 plus C7 minus the sum of all your expenses. Do the same for the actual also. But when you are calculating operating profit for variance, don't do the formula. For operating profit for variance is just the overall variance. So just do the sum and that's your average operating profit, profit for the variances. So everything is done. Put a black border around the area E2 to F17. We know how to do borders. Make the boxes of figures with the operating profit on line 17 orange. This kind of formatting you all know how to do that, so I'm skipping through them. Put an if statement in E18 to show balanced if the variance column total equals E17 and check if it doesn't. So the variance column total equals E17 and put a check if it doesn't in E18. So in E18 we want to check a formula. Logical if the difference between D17 and C17 is equal to E17, then we want to say balanced. Otherwise, check. Say OK. Here it is telling check because here the overall variance, the difference between these two should be equal to this. Okay, so it's telling check. That means there is a small mistake somewhere, and I have noticed that this is also a revenue column. So this one also, the formula when you're calculating should be actual minus budget. So equal to actual minus budget. And now it is telling it is balanced. Okay, so that's done. Insert a header catering for occasions. Year ended 31st December 2004. Insert a footer showing current time, date and page. So we know how to do headers and footers. So you go to File, Print, Page Setup, Headers and Footers, and you can add whatever headers, footers you want. Okay, so we are not doing that currently to show you. Then copy the range A2 to D9 and paste only values into a new worksheet, keeping the formatting the same. Name this worksheet Food and Drink Analysis. So A2 to D9. So they only want to copy from A2 to up to D9. It won't give you much data. We're only calculating or copying revenue and materials. I think these new sheets should not be here. Okay, let's read the question once again. In the newly created worksheet Food and Drink, change the description from cooking staff to food. Change cost to minus figures, data sort into product types with food at the top, insert food margin. Okay, let's take a look into more detail. Looks like there are quite a few mistakes in this question. So let's copy from A2 to up to the labor. Okay, so up to D11. So Control C, paste it into a new sheet. Only values and number formats. So right click, paste special values and number formats and say OK. So there we go, we got our information. Auto fit to make sure everything is clearly seen. And let's see now what we need to do. Name this Food and Drink Analysis. So rename the sheet Food and Drink Analysis. Change the description from cooking staff to food. Change the description from cooking staff to food. Okay, we done that. Change the cost to minus figures. Data sort the table into product types with food at the top. So change the cost to minus figures. So all these materials and labors should be changed into minus figures. So minus, oops, sorry. Minus. Okay, now they want to data sort this data so that the food is at the top and drinks and waiting staff is at the bottom most probably. Okay, let's give it a try. Sort and filter, custom sort, sort by column B, custom list, create a new list, okay, because there is no other sorting through which you can bring food to the top. Okay, so custom list, add, you want food at the top and then drinking stuff and then waiting staff, and say OK and OK. Still one food is not copied properly. Let's give it a try again. Custom sort, custom list, food, drinking staff, waiting staff. This food should be coming to the top because it's on the top. Let's put one more food maybe. Say OK and OK. Still no change. Okay, let's see what else we need to do. In cell A10, insert food margin and calculate the food gross margin to go into cells C10 and D10. In A10, we are calculating food margin. And they want you to calculate food margin and put it in C10 and D10. So they only want the food and drink analysis. So let's just remove this labor for the waiting staff from here. And because this food is not moving, because it needs to go to the top, sort and filter, custom sort, column B, cell values, use Z to A, and that is done. Food and drinks, and then we have the revenue for labor, revenue for drinks. So now we want to calculate the margin for food. So margin is just like nothing but like a profit margin, but here we don't have profit. So to calculate the margin, first we have to calculate the profit, which is revenue. Because they're already in minus figures, you have to add it, add materials and add the labor, which will give you the profit margin. Divide it with the revenue again, and then you can convert it into percentage. Copy the same formula into this cell. They wanted to do the drinks margin also, so do the same thing again. First revenue plus the materials divided by the revenue, and then continue into the next cell, and all these cells should be changed into percentage sign with 2 decimal places. So your food margin and your drinks margin is now calculated. And then the last one is email. We don't have any email in this one, so we can leave it at that. But I would say that this question is not clearly structured very well, because it's not very clearly given of what they want to do, and so many different types of headings and cell numbers are not given correctly, and so on. So just try to work through this following my instructions rather than completely depending on the question. Thank you.